TIDES is our best-selling presentation and framework of the last 2 years. This came out of some research that our Strategic Insights team did, which is to ask, what is causing the change in the world? Where's all this change coming from? We talk change, we deal with change, but if we can anticipate the change, surely this is going to be good for all of us. Not just for our senior team when they go away on their Bosparats and away days and work out, our strategy, but for each person in your organization, especially those people on the front line. Our research suggested that there are 5 key forces that are causing disruption. These are not the only things going on in the world, but if we were to pick a number, it would be the number around 80% of all the changes that are significant, deep, and disruptive in the next 5 to 10 years are going to come from these 5 areas. The first is technology, changing technologies, social, mobile, small, cheap, ubiquitous, connectivity, power, and speed. And we're about to get that in South Africa. Some of you have real smartphones. In other words, no Blackberries. Don't want to start a war, but a Blackberry is not a smartphone. Seriously, I'll explain that afterwards if you're interested. You don't have the app power behind a BlackBerry that you do behind a Samsung or an Apple or one of the others. And that power, together with bandwidth, which South Africa will start getting in about September next year, when the first fiber optics are brought into businesses and homes. Having lived in London for 4 years, where I had a fiber optic cable in my bedroom wall, 120 megabit per second download speed. As soon as you get above 10 megabits per second on average around the country changes. And South Africa is nowhere near ready for this. None of your firms are near ready for what happens when people get online all the time and engage. We don't have the apps, the websites, the search engines in this country to handle what's about to happen. So positioning your company, that's just a marketing thought, but they're internal thoughts. There are personal implications. Google goggles, augmented reality, 3D printers, all of those things important to consider and will change the shape of the world. We are only just at the beginning of a technology revolution. Everything we've done in your lifetime has been to get us to the starting line. And the start was about 2 years ago. We only got iPads 3 years ago. 3rd of April 2010 was when the first iPad was sold in London. It's not that long, and the revolution has only just begun. T for technology, the I stands for institutional change. This has got to do with changes to the rules for success and failure in your business. Some of those rules are legislated. You have regulations in your industry, but others, and most importantly, are the rules that are not legislated, but you still obey. Because you think they have to be obeyed, because you think that's how your industry has to work. And it doesn't, and there is some snot-nosed 24-year-old who is going to prove that your industry can operate differently. And he or she's got a business model in their garage that will destroy your industry. And don't think it can't happen to you, because it's happened to some of the biggest industries in the world. The D stands for demographics. This has got to do with, we talked a lot about this today, it's the generational stuff, but it's also the aging stuff. It's the fact that we are all living 1 day longer every week we are alive right now. Did you know that? You're living 1 day longer every week. More than half of all the people who have ever turned 80 are still alive. Probably need to hear that stat again after an hour and a quarter of us talking at you. Over half of all the people who have ever turned 80, 165 million of them, are still alive. What's your business plan? Because they're not dead. And they're not going away either. The E stands for the environment and ethics. We know about this. It's in our face all the time, but there are some big issues coming. We constantly try and keep ahead of the curve here. One of our team is a specialist who actually does detailed analysis for the US government. Based out of our Asia team, is an environmental expert. She was the first to alert us to shale gas. If you haven't, fracking is the word we all know, but shale gas is about to change the world. America will be energy independent before the end of Obama's current term. They will be exporting oil before the end of this decade. That changes everything. Did you know about it? And then the S is for changing social values, shifting social values. If everything else we've said this morning is true, then what we expect, what we think is normal, what we believe to be right, is changing, and changing faster than ever before. Just last night, the House of Commons in the United Kingdom debated the marriage laws, and Scotland approved gay ministers in the Church of Scotland. That was yesterday. I wonder what's going to happen today in the social space. And in a country like ours, we need to be thinking about that maybe even more than most. So that is the tides of change.